You're listening to Gameday Tarps podcast, coast to coast, with your hosts, Ryley, Dakota, Dallas, Daeden, and Wilbs.
Hello and welcome back to Gameday Tarps, episode 39. We are welcoming a longtime friend of myself and Ryley from high school. He is currently a writer for the Daily Faceoff, Colton Davies.
And without further ado, let's get into this one. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in with our guest from Daily Faceoff, Colton Davies, a fellow Norcam Senior High School graduate with myself and Dakota. One of the best guys that we grew up with, hanging out with. Such a nice guy, always humble. No bad words about you, man. We're so thankful that you're on here. This incredible hockey writing career that you have taken on, and in the hockey media, we're so excited to reach out and have you say, yeah, you'll come on. So thanks for coming on.
Excited to be on, boys.
Well, I guess we'll take it back. I mentioned high school. We graduate, 10 years ago this year.
Crazy.
Absurd to think about, but take us on your first couple year journey after high school. Where did that take you, and how did you get from graduating high school to now where you are?
Basically went from Norcam to Fort Mac, worked in the oil field for a few years, then ditched that whole thing, came back home, and then decided to go to journalism school. Then that didn't really work out because of COVID, so then I bailed on that. And then from there, I just applied to Radio NL, got on with them, did some stuff with them through writing, and then was able to meet John Keane, who's with the Blazers, of course. Through that, I was able to do some more like radio stuff and broadcasting stuff. And then, within the span of 6 to 9 months, I went from writing to basically like helping do Blazers stuff. And then during that time, it was all during COVID though. So it was all bubble related. It was all very strict protocols and stuff. I decided during that time I would reach out to a different company and try and get on with them. And that was the Hockey Writers at the time. Started working for them for a little bit. And it just, it wasn't really like coming to fruition what I wanted. So a fellow buddy of mine who was working with the Nation Network, who owns Daily Faceoff and like the other companies that are within us, they had a position open. And so I just, he reached out to me and said, do you want to like come and work for us? I think it'd be awesome to have you here with us. You got a lot of connections in Kamloops and within the WHL. Let's try and make something work. So I applied to them and got on with what was Canucks Army at the time. So strictly writing for the Vancouver Canucks. Did a little bit of that for about 3 or 4 months. And then during that time, Daily Faceoff was just kind of picking up. And it was just as like Frank was getting everything going. It was, after Frank did the whole leak of the expansion draft and that whole shenanigans. So Daily Faceoff had it was starting to trend upwards. And I reached out to Matt Larkin, who's become a very close friend of mine, and he's a senior editor there. And I basically just said, hey, man, I work with you guys like within the Nation Network. I'd love to try and get on with Daily Faceoff at some time. And he messaged me back right away and was like, yo, you want to like join next week? We have a position open.
Wow.
I was like, wait, really? He's like, yeah, let's do it by trial. Like, let's give you a 3-month trial, see what happens. Honestly, almost didn't make it because there was a couple times that just my writing wasn't up to what they wanted at the time. So really had to lock it in and just buckle down and figure it out. And fast forward 2.5 years later, I've covered 2 Memorial Cups, an NHL draft, and 2 NHL games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
awesome,
man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Colton, so you kind of took the same route that I'm actually taking right now. I'm just doing the East Coast version of it. I was a commercial fisherman for the last 3 years of my life.
Nice.
And now I'm going into the second year at the College of Sports Media in Toronto. And I want to know what kind of ticked in your brain to make you be like, I'm done with the oil field. I'm going to journalism school.
I think it was just like I was sick and tired of working 24 days on and 4 days off and like just not having a life. And like the money was cool and that part was cool, but it wasn't like making me happy. Like nothing was making me happy about that. So I just said, like I've always wanted to be involved in hockey. So let's try and get involved in some way. And so I started at the bottom with whatever I could to get my foot in the door, and then just kept putting my foot in the door to keep going to where I am now. And that was basically it though. It was a moment where I was like, you know what, go follow your dreams, and you've got this money saved up. If you blow it all and it all fails, you can go back to the oil field. And so far it's worked out.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's exactly what I thought. Like,
Yeah.
you're always gonna have a backup, but like
Yes.
money's not everything. So
No, it's
rather do what makes you happy.
and that's the most important thing. That's what I tell people. Like, go do what makes you happy. Like at the end of the day, yes, you have to pay your bills, you have to do these things, but you can work at what your dream is day by day, and eventually you can have your dream job or have a job where it's not even a job, right? I wake up and I'm blessed to do what I do. I go on my computer for 12 hours a day and just search stuff on the internet for hockey and write about it and get paid to do it. Like,
That's awesome.
it's just it's about chasing your dreams, and I don't think enough people do that.
I think that's very similar. I mean, Dakota, we can take it back. I mean, I remember we were outside Dak's house. I don't remember what I was pissed at, but I was like, man, all I want to do is just like talk hockey and like actually have people like know that I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I just want to like do something hockey related. And I remember you, Dak, you were just like, just do it. I was like, well, you got to do it with me then. Like, I'm dragging you into it.
Well, yeah, I was honestly just like, man, start an Instagram page, fan page or something. From
Mm-hmm.
there, you can grow into, I don't know, an NHL team might be like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. Or podcast like we're doing now, right? And fortunate enough to have two guys, or I guess three guys come on now, help us out with that, because it was originally just going to be me and Ryley.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dally came in. He was pretty knowledgeable about most CHL and even like lower leagues. He was pretty knowledgeable, so brought him on, and then he got Daeden and Wilbs with us, which honestly has panned out great.
That's been a game changer.
Yeah, no, your guys' podcast is great. Like, I've listened to a few episodes, like even before you guys reached out and stuff, just because I remember seeing it on your guys' Instagram feeds or Facebook or something like that. One of your guys' Facebooks, and I think it was yours, Ryley. And yeah, I've listened to a few episodes. Like, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's good content, and like you want to talk about something. We live in a day and age where you can pick up your phone and go and do that type of thing, or you can go on a laptop and create a podcast and talk about what you want to talk about.
Exactly. And we've been so fortunate, like, 1 year later, where we've talked, lucky enough, to one of the best NHL prospects, which I want to bring back to you in a minute, Logan Stankoven, because we know you've had wonderful encounters with him in the Kamloops market.
Yeah.
And then another player you've talked to, Connor Smith, we just recently talked to in the OHL. So it really, I don't think you could have told us a year ago that we would have been doing that. But like I said, I want to ask you, what were your experiences with arguably one of Kamloops' top people, Logan Stankoven?
Dude, he phenomenal human being. Like, the fact that he gives his time and day to everybody to do interviews, do that type of stuff.
Logan, as captain of the team, how do you look to get the team re-engaged for the next game?
I think you got to have a short-term memory. It's a tournament style, so yeah, obviously a tough one tonight, but gonna go back to the drawing board tomorrow, watch some video, make some corrections, and yeah, just got to stay positive. That's something that we've talked about ever since the season began, is staying present and stepping in the moment. So that'll be key for us in the next few games.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Just a wonderful kid. Meeting him at the Memorial Cup, like officially, and being able to like, him and I were able to do a one-on-one sit-down interview, which I thought was really unique. We had like the daily Faceoff cameras and everything all set up. But for him to be able to do what he's doing this year, or last season, I guess technically, insane stuff. Like, I said to people years ago when he was 18, 17, and during his draft year, that he is going to be a superstar. A lot of people didn't think so. I go back to one of my mock drafts that I have in my phone that is from his draft year, and I had him top 10, right at number 10. He went, 47th to Dallas? So he comes out and goes and wins the CHL Player of the Year the year after he gets drafted in the second round, and then dominates the next year again, and then comes into the AHL, dominates the AHL, and then walks into the NHL and in 24 games has 14 points and plays in the playoffs. It's insane, and he's all eligible for to play next year. Calder has the chance to win the Calder Trophy, but my experiences with him have been just amazing. He's a wonderful guy to talk to and a phenomenal hockey player, and arguably the best prospect to ever come out of Kamloops so far. I mean, okay, wait. Mark Recchi. There's a few others. I guess I shouldn't get ahead of myself.
Oh,
I should stop.
we can say
Another
this:
Kamloops guy.
the best drafted Kamloops Blazer ever in terms of being drafted to the Kamloops Blazers. Because we're talking about Iginla, he picked to come here as a tryout. Same with Niedermeyer. Same with Tucker. Right?
Yep.
Mark Recchi was a Kamloops-born kid, but he wasn't drafted here, right? So yes, you're right. The best Kamloops Blazers draft pick out of a Bantam draft. Ever. Yes, absolutely.
It's crazy. Like just how much support the city has given him too. I find that so cool. Like the amount of people that went down to Vancouver to watch him when he played in that game, that's so cool for him. And he's got like the whole city just rooting for him. And it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be so cool to see him this year and what he can do. I have him. I'm not gonna lie. I bet on him to win the Calder Trophy. So let's see.
Awesome. It's a good bet.
We'll see.
Valid. That's pretty
We'll
valid.
see. But yeah, no, he's a great guy though.
You know what though, Colton? Like I'm wondering if he was like a 6'2" player or 6'3", he probably could have cracked the top 10 spot.
He would have.
Oh yeah.
He would have. I had this conversation with Jesse today. You guys know Jesse DeVries. About Adam Benak with Czechia, right?
Yeah.
Benak's a top 3 player, top 5 player. He's not going to go top 10 even because he's 5'7". It's the same thing that happened with Cole Caulfield. Caulfield was considered a top 5 touted prospect. He didn't go top 5. He didn't even go top 10. It because of size. The NHL GMs are never going to learn that the size doesn't matter anymore.
And Calgary made me a liar because I said no way Zane Perrick goes top 10 based on size, and he snuck in at 9, and I was like, they made me a bit of a liar. But I mean, defenseman, I'm even more surprised, honestly.
Yeah, but
undersized defenseman.
He's offensively gifted, right? 98 points this year, right? 98 points, 96 points. Either way, that's insane. Like almost 100 points in your draft year as a defenseman. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Colton, I hear you're a Flames fan, so were you also hoping that TJ Ginla would have donned the Calgary C?
To be fair, I'm not a fan of any team anymore. It's very hard to be a fan of a team nowadays. Like when you just cover every team, like it's very hard. But yes, I think for the whole aspect of it and like the whole, lore behind the Iginla, it would have been very cool if he was able to go there. Of course, Utah comes in and just does that though. Like makes, jeez, it's so dumb.
Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, kids just playing with Josh Dones and Shane Doan and Jerome McGinley played with each other in Kamloops, so it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's going to be it'll be an awesome little connection to have.
Did you did you run into him in Kamloops? I just ran into him on the sidewalk, had a good chat with him.
Shane Doan?
Introduced him to my younger cousin. Yeah. Did you run into him here?
Yeah. I ran into him. I ran into to Jerome McGinley as well because whatever night Seattle, it was the final game because Seattle was playing in it. And Jerome was walking around and bumped into him, said hi to him quickly. It's been Shane's an awesome guy though.
Definitely.
So you said you've covered the last 2 Memorial Cups. Which sporting event that you would say was your favorite memory that you've been able to cover so far?
Probably the first Memorial Cup, honestly, just because like it was at home, like here in Kamloops, and it meant a lot to me because I grew up such a big Blazers fan, and so being able to cover that type of tournament and be able to watch like the best junior hockey players in the world and talk to them, and I think that's the most exciting thing. I mean, like went down to Vegas for the draft, but I mean, we were in and out in 36 hours, not even.
Wow.
Like it was like we flew in there the Friday and we were out the Saturday night. Like ridiculous. But the Memorial Cup easily has been my favorite thing. Hoping to go to the World Juniors this year in Ottawa, so we'll see. We'll see.
How was the Sphere experience? Was that cool, or did you get to experience that much?
Yes. I can send you guys some pictures and videos of it.
That'd be awesome.
But it does not do it justice. Like, you go in there and you're just like, what the fuck is this place? It's insane. Dude, it's nuts. Like, and even being on the outside of it, and like how they were broadcasting all the players on everything, and all the team logos and stuff. Oh man, so cool, so cool.
Yeah.
Looks so futuristic from the outside too. That's what's cool about it.
So like the pixels, you can like walk right up to it, and like it doesn't even get like pixelated. Like, it's really hard to explain, but it's very
I know what you mean.
unique, like very unique experience. Like, I'm telling everybody, go there, go check it out.
And it's so disheartening that they're going to stop doing in-person drafts now for the NHL. Like, that sucks.
That's
why?
stupid.
We did hear that they're reconsidering based off the pure popularity of the Sphere. We did hear that.
So
come up.
You know, that's every kid's dream, to walk across the stage, shake the general manager's hand, put the hat on, put the jersey over your head, and hear your name called, right? I mean, like, why would you get rid of that? Like, even the fans, like, I know I'll literally buy a 1 month subscription to Sportsnet just to watch the draft days 1 and 2, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? 100%. Like, that's how awesome it is, just even as a fan, to watch from home.
I think, like, they want to go, from what we heard like a year ago or whatever it was when they were trying to make this decision, they wanted to go the NFL route, right? So it was either they go the NFL route and then they have one location where all the players are able to come across, or it's just, it's all digital now and it's done that way. And either way, I think it's stupid. I think it the way they're doing it. It's unique. There's nothing else. I mean, the NBA kind of does it, I guess, similar, but it's unique. What the NHL does has been exactly like what you just said, Dallas. Like, you grew up with it. I remember growing up with watching the drafts every year, and like, my biggest thing too, like getting into this business, was I wanted to cover an NHL draft. I was like, that would be the coolest thing. Like, growing up and being able to watch that and then go to that. Yeah. But as a player, like, you want to walk across that stage and get your jersey and put it on. And unfortunately, you want to, shake Gary Bettman's hand. He's a good guy. But you want to do that. It's all a part of it, right? So I think it's dumb. I think they need to reconsider it too. And from what we've heard, that's exactly what's happening. They're reconsidering it based on the popularity of the Sphere. And it sounds like if they're gonna continue with it, then it would be a centralized location like Las Vegas.
Which is what it should be. Like, if the Sphere is what works, use the Sphere.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
100%.
it doesn't need to go to Utah.
No.
It doesn't need to go to Tampa Bay, my favorite team, right? Like, the kids don't remember where they get drafted. It's very rare that they're from the town that they get drafted in the year it's hosted there. Like, you're not worrying about kids getting drafted at home.
No.
Most kids are now Europe. They're from, it's mostly in America. It's always Canadian kids that are heavily in the draft. Like, it's never about that anymore. So you might as well just do the spectacle, which is the Sphere. It's going to pull tons of people to the city of Vegas. They're going to get tons of sponsors. They're going to have tons of cash flow coming in.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep paying for itself.
100%.
Over and over and over.
100%. I think that's the best way for them to do it. Fans, Vegas in itself is just an exciting place. You bring in tons of people. Everybody from my work and everybody that went there, like, that's all people could talk about was how excited they were. I mean, little did we know how much work we had to fucking end up doing. Just didn't really get to do a whole lot. But
fair enough.
But still, it's the place that you get to go to, right? It's Vegas. Why not have that, right? So I think if the NHL is going to do it, then keep it Vegas and let's keep having these drafts, because I think if they get rid of it, they're going to lose a lot of people, like a lot of fans in that sense.
True.
I concur.
The only other city I'm hearing that's keeping up with Vegas in terms of popularity is Nashville.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the only city in the NHL that I'm hearing is right behind them. No other city is keeping up. Guys are done with New York. They're done with California. They're done with the big cities. But Nashville is like exactly what everyone wants. In Vegas, no one knows who they are in Vegas. They just get to walk around.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
it's awesome.
Your boy went to Nashville. How do you feel about that?
Oh, it was pretty heartbreaking. No, I'm not even mad at Stamkos. He can't be. I just think the way that you just don't treat a legend like that. Like I will throw this out there. I've said this to the boys. I have Tampa Bay 7th in the Atlantic next year. They are so dependent on Vasilevsky next year. Like they have Cam Atkinson second right wing instead of Anthony Duclair. Like how are we going to be better? Right? They have no Sergachev and they have McDonough and Hedman. And what happens when those two are gone? They have 0 defensive prospects in the system. Right? Like
when they brought in McDonough, I was like, what are we doing? Or what are you guys doing? Like, what is this?
What I thought.
Like, and then you traded Sergachev, and then it's like, oh, okay, you have cap space. Go get your captain. And then no. I don't get it. Like
what they're talking about right now is that Hedman is not going to get the captaincy after this 4-year extension. They're talking about Cirelli or Point. It's become a hot topic on X in Tampa Bay's world out there is like all I keep seeing is polls for Tampa Bay and it's Point or Cirelli as the next captain.
I'd give
even I told you that, Ryley.
Yeah, I think
you said you wouldn't even give Point an A.
I would. Well, here's the thing. John Cooper has given over 20 players assistant captains over the last 5 years. Not once has it been Braden Point. Not once. It's been Cirelli. It's been Bogosian, McDonough, Platt, Gord, Coleman, Goudreau. Like all these guys have gotten an A, and
character
guys that haven't, like Point is he's one of their best players, and they never just gave him one as like a good for you, right? Even Pat Maroon wore an A one game. Right? Like
maybe it's the leadership qualities though too.
Rings.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking though. Like it goes back to his leadership stuff. Like I don't even remember if he was he captain of Moose Jaw?
He was Moose Jaw's captain.
Yeah, okay.
And then Brett Howden.
Right.
Yeah. And then he was the captain of Team Canada over Joe Hicketts in the 2014 World Juniors as well. So like
I remember that robbery. Yep.
It's there. I know I wanted Joe to. As a Tampa fan, I was like, oh, that deserved to go to Joe.
Yeah.
All day.
100%.
But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if he wants it, right? Like he likes being in the background.
Yeah.
He doesn't really like being in front of the media all day. If you follow Tampa super close, he's not doing a whole lot of interviews. It was always Hedman. It was always Stamkos, McDonough.
I requested Point last November, and Tampa Bay basically came back. The guy that I talked to from Tampa was like, he's not interested. He doesn't do interviews. So I was like, okay, fair enough. Sounds good.
So as much as maybe they do want to give him, but maybe he's just gone to them and said, look, guys, like, I just want to play hockey. I don't want the distraction.
Yep.
He's obviously not vocal.
Nope.
He plays good. He plays well. Like, there's no deterring his play on the ice. So if he just doesn't want a letter, maybe that's what it is.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, should Tampa force a captain? Like, should Tampa force a captain immediately, though? They should probably wait the season out.
No.
Kind of.
Like,
no. It's got to be Hedman.
The only person you're giving it to is Hedman. Like, I don't even know. It's weird.
I think that they're respecting Stamkos and not just immediately naming a captain, right? Like,
yeah,
he's been your captain for 8-9 years, whatever it was. Like, don't just be like, okay, moving on, new captain. Here we go. His best friend.
Bury the guy.
Yeah, so I think that they're just waiting. I think it'll be after training camp, at training camp.
Yeah, if they do it this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they'll need one this year. They need, if they're gonna, like, when has a team won the cup that doesn't have a captain? It causes issues.
Good question. That's a good question.
I guess Colorado versus Tampa when Landeskog went down. Oh no, he did play. He did play though. He played. It was the next year that he didn't play. But me and Dallas actually got into that argument of, was there a bit of a stalemate going on there? Like, people were saying give the captaincy to McKinnon. I was saying as long as Landeskog is eligible, you leave the captaincy on him, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we were kind of going back and forth on that.
Yeah, because who's leading you out on the ice, right? Like, who's there on the bench getting the guys fired up, ready to go?
Nate.
And starting to strategize. You're not going to give the captaincy to the coach. I know he's making all the plays, right? But who's going to be the guy on the ice helping you guys get through the game?
It's true.
And win.
I think it's just the pecking order, right? Like, Landeskog keeps the C until he says he's done, but Nate is de facto from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to do that too, I think.
Speaking of great players though, Colton, Have you had the privilege of interviewing some other great notable prospects or players throughout your journey so far in the hockey community?
Owen Beck, Olin Zellweger, Caden Bankier, Ryan Hofer. He was a good talk. Who else have I talked? Jacob Julian from London. Connor Smith.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
dude.
awesome. We just
Who
had
else?
one.
I talked to Bedard, but I didn't interview him. So
Fair enough.
I got to talk to him at the CHL Awards and just kind of like talk to him, just bullshit with him, but didn't really interview him. But talk to him.
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't know if that counts for anything. Josh Morrissey.
Oh, that's a good one.
Tanner Jeannot. I'm trying to think more. People I've talked to people at like the Memorial Cup. Like I talked to some GMs and stuff like Julian Brisebois, Ken Holland. Talked to Craig Button. I guess he's with TSN though. But talking to Julian Brisebois was pretty cool. Like just kind of picking his brain about some stuff and asking him about Tampa and how he built it and everything like that. And then he wasn't really interested in explaining all that. I was like, oh, okay, cool. See ya. I'll get out of here.
Trade secrets, but
it was cool
still.
to talk to him. Like, cause he was in Kamloops to watch for they had a couple prospects, I think, at the time that were in the Memorial Cup. But yeah, so he was cool. T. Jaginla, he was fun to talk to. Pretty because it's unique how he grew up obviously with his dad and who his dad was and is and everything like that. Tanner Howe, Zach Benson. A lot of the names are coming back to me now.
That's good.
Francesco Arcuri. He's with Texas right now. I think with the Texas Stars.
Kitchener legend.
Yeah.
Kitchener Ranger
Dude,
legend.
he was good. Who else? No, I think that's it for now. It's all I can think of at the moment.
We know you did used to run a podcast and you talked to Versteeg, Chris Versteeg.
Yeah. Yes. Versteeg.
How was that?
Very cool. Because it was cool to talk to him because he had such a short little stint with Kamloops that it was just, I remember it so distinctly because I remember going to the game and he scored a hat trick and it was like the fastest hat trick in WHL history or whatever at the time. And then the Blazers traded him like 3 days later. And I remember being like 9 years old and I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what is going on here? Like, keep this guy. And then we traded him. And then he went to Lethbridge or wherever he went to and played there. But awesome guy to talk to. I mean, 2 Stanley Cups, both with Chicago on those dynasty teams. And I mean, he couldn't talk enough about those 2 teams, man. Like, and what it meant to be on those teams and play under Taves and play under Kane and Seabrook and Keith and like, the legends on that team, man, like crazy. But he was an awesome guy, such a cool, unique career too, going overseas for a bit and then obviously starting up his own hockey school and everything that he's got going. So, but very, very cool guy to talk to.
That's awesome.
Do you have any because I know you've done a lot of interviews already.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite moment that you've had during an interview with a player or anything?
I have a funny moment that I had with Lucas Siona. If you guys know who he is, Calgary Flames prospect, played for Seattle. So him and I'm 5'6" and like 150 pounds. He's 6'5" and like 230 pounds. So him and I were standing side by side. It was literally like you know what I mean, like David and Goliath. And that's a bad reference actually, but you know what I mean. And so point is, he was like, I made a comment to him. I said like, who do you model your play style after? And he goes, dude, funnily enough, like, and he's like, and look at me. He's like, look at my size. I'm not anywhere near this type of player, but Patrick Kane. I go out there and I think I can do spinoramas and I can be like Patty Kane. And I laughed and I was like, man, you know what's funny? When I played hockey, I tried to fight everybody and do everything, and he just bursted out laughing. And he's like, 2 completely different play styles. Look at us. But that's probably
your bodies are built different.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Talking about all these young players, Colton, I want to bring this up. When you posted when you tweeted about the Landon DuPont signing, I opened up my phone and that was the first thing that came up. And so I want to know what it's like getting to kind of break these like young stars to the world and like get to tell the world what these young stars are all about.
It's it's really cool because that's something that kind of got more into this year. I asked Frank, I kind of texted him and was like, hey man, like I want to do insider stuff. Like how do I get involved in this? And he just basically said network. It was the sum of the text. And I was like, okay. So I started to reach out to people and talk to more people. And as you do that, people start to realize who you work for, who you're connected with. And, you mentioned Frank Cervalli, and immediately it's, oh, okay. And it's,
That's
all the bells and whistles go off. And so I had a guy text me that morning, and it was like 6 a.m. our time. And he was out in Calgary, and he works for the WHL, and he goes, Landon signing today. Just want to let you know. And I was like, oh, cool. So I had the article pretty much ready by 7 o'clock in the morning. And at 11 a.m. when they announced it, I just hit publish, and it was the first article up there. But
good for you, man.
But
That's sick.
it's unique though, because like you get this information and then you can kind of like do what you want with it. I haven't really I haven't broken news in the sense where I could be like, like sources say, Landon Dupont is signing. I just do it because like we have the information. But I
Right.
could start doing that. Like I've had moments where people have let me know about trades in the WHL. I knew about the Olin Zellweger trade to Kamloops 4 days before it happened. And I could have tweeted about it and blown it up, but I was like, you know what?
Blockbuster trade too.
Why? Like, I thought about it in two ways. I was like, this could make my career go one way, but it could also ruin my reputation with sources because I put it out there. So it's kind of like a hit and miss thing. But yeah, you go back to that trade, insanity. Like, you're like 4 players, 10 draft picks, and all for what? Right?
Yeah.
A couple months of playing.
A month and a half, and you didn't even win the Memorial Cup. Like, come on.
Going back to that,
sorry. Go ahead.
Going back to that trade, do you think it was like a forced trade because it seemed like everyone wanted Bedard to come to Kamloops, and then I don't know, you hear all these rumors that he wants to, and then it seemed like Kamloops put all their coins into one player kind of last minute.
That's exactly what happened, Dakota. They wanted Bedard. They wanted Bedard. They knew that wasn't going to happen, so they backed off of that. From what I've heard, and I have to say that from what I've heard, they wanted Gunther. Problem was they weren't sure at the time in November if he was going to come back, so they were scared to make the trade. But what's weird that I still think about to this day is who owns the Kamloops Blazers, but also worked for the Coyotes. Shane Doan. So he would have known if Gunther was going to end up returning. At some point, he would have known. And so the Blazers pulled out of that right before the Christmas break, or that whole break for the World Juniors. And that was when I heard that happened, and then they ended up getting Demick. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, it's such a desperation trade, like the Demick trade was. Because they just wanted somebody. They saw what Seattle was doing. They saw what everybody else in the OHL and the Q was doing, just making these monster trades, and they went, "Oh, okay, let's go get somebody." Yeah, Demick was good for the 13 games that he appeared in, but it was a desperation trade because they wanted other players, and they just never ended up pulling the trigger on it. So then they wanted Zellweger from the start. That was a big thing, but then they wanted another player other than Ryan Hofer, and I'm blanking on who it was, but it was one of the other top scorers on Everett. It was a smaller kid. But they wanted him as well. They wanted 3 players. They wanted Zellweger, Hofer, and then that other kid, Jackson Berezowski. That's who it was. And they said no. Everett said that's ridiculous. We're not doing that. So they got Hofer and they got Zellweger. But I mean, at the end of the day, what did that do? You added 3 people when you go back to other Memorial Cup teams that built years in advance because they knew they had the bid. So my beef with the whole thing is Kamloops had a year and a half to build a team, and instead they built a team in 3 months.
I had
no chemistry.
The chance to ask Daryl Sador if he regretted it.
Yep.
We do some work for Sador's house and whatnot.
Okay.
Either way, I said, hey man, like, would you still do that trade today? And he said, hey, we had to. That's what he said. He said, look, we were getting outgunned. I said, obviously it must have been harder because you were guaranteed a spot in the Memorial Cup. He's like, yeah, our price tags were higher than everyone else's from what we were hearing. And it was difficult, but we had to add a game-breaking talent and we had to pay the price for it. And that's what we landed. So I was like, well, Fair enough.
Well, think of some other big names on the market
but-
last or this year, because Nate Danielson went to Portland, right? And look at the package that Brandon got in return. Like, why couldn't we have gotten a guy in Nate Danielson to come to Kamloops last year, right? Earlier on. Like, this was my philosophy. I told the boys this quite a few times. Like, you see OHL powerhouse teams loading up early, right? They're building that chemistry. Great example, the Saginaw Spirit, right?
Yes.
Alex Christopoulos, Rodwin Dionisio, bang, October hits. They're getting these guys in early from Windsor. They're building that chem, getting ready for that Memorial Cup at the end of May and June, right? And they
Got
won,
Beck,
right?
right?
And they got back from Peterborough. They got them early. They started getting them, familiarized with themselves, building the strategy. Bang! That's how you build a Memorial Cup winning team, right there, guys.
It is. You I can add on to that too. You go back to the previous year when St. John won. Well, what did Trevor Georgie and the Sea Dogs do? When they found out in 2020 that they were hosting the Memorial Cup, they went to all their recruits who were committed to the NCAA and begged them to come and play. 5 out of the 9 players decommitted from NCAA schools, which included North Dakota, Michigan, and Boston University, to come and play for St. John. He then went out and made multiple trades to get big players. William Dufour ended up being like the biggest name. He scored 4 goals in the Memorial Cup final for them to win it. But they took 2 years of building this team. And that I don't understand why like GMs think that they can do that in 3 months. And it's like Dallas noted, it's about chemistry. You can't just force chemistry in 3 months. It's not how that works. And then expect the team to be good in playoffs or in the biggest tournament of their lives. It's you have to build it through months and months and months and articulous training and games. I don't know. That's just my beef with it, right?
Yeah, it's one of the hardest, but also the best tournament out there in hockey, right? You got 60 teams. They're all fighting for that one prize, the Memorial Cup. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were going up against, in that Final Four in St. John, one of the toughest, meanest, grittiest teams in this century, the 2022 Edmonton Oil Kings. And somehow the hosts still won, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So,
and that
it was
Oil
crazy.
Kings team was remarkable too. Like, even talking to Gunther about it, like, not that he got to play in it, but he noted like that team was just built differently. He said like a powerhouse of a team. And one of his, he said, I love the guys on this Seattle team, but he says that is my favorite team I've ever been a part of.
Oh yeah, Costa, Sordiff, Navers, Gunther, Prokop. Oh my God,
Gooley,
powerhouse boys.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys on that team, man. It was a very good team.
But I mean, same with his time in Seattle, though. They got Brad Lambert. They went and got Colton Dock. They got Gunther. Like,
when they got Brad Lambert, I was like, what is happening? Seattle's just over here building an actual super team. Like,
well, and for nothing.
You see them doing all these moves, and Kamloops gave up their whole future for a guy that was like, no discredit to Zellweger. He was amazing in his time in Kamloops, but like, you look at what Seattle did for what they gave up for it, like, it's insane. And then to not play T.J. Ginla at all.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah. That's pretty nuts to me. That didn't play him at
like,
all.
What Daeden said too, like how you got to break the news that DuPont signed with the Everett Silvertips, like that was Kamloops' pick, right? Like, we could have very well had Landon DuPont, like father, like son. Mickey DuPont played here in Kamloops.
Yep.
And then now Landon DuPont, his son could have played here, but no.
That's probably going to eat the Blazers up, because he's a generational talent. Holy cow.
He is nasty.
Like, Mickey DuPont is my favorite Blazer of all time. Like, just from being a kid going to games, like, just I don't know why he was it's never left me. Then Scotty Upshaw.
Yeah,
those are just the guys that I fell in love with in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
and then hearing like, man, they had Mickey DuPont's kid like right here. Just threw it
it's gonna
away.
piss Kamloops people off forever. Because you just think about that and you're like, wow, we could have had him, huh? Could have had 4 years or 3 years, I guess, of him before he was even draft eligible, right? Not even eligible till 2027. So
yeah, like if he played all 6 years, we could have applied for what would it be, the 2029 Memorial Cup, and is there a chance that he plays in that? Like, there could be,
maybe, yeah.
He's 15, so that would be 5 years. He'd be 20.
Yeah.
So
Well, you okay,
Not
there'd
a
be a
chance. No, I don't think so. He's too good, man.
he'd
That guy
probably be in
would.
the
defenders
NHL by
though.
then, but it'd be different
Defenders
though. Like
they
it
go
depends.
slower though.
Yeah, it depends
You never know.
because from what I've been told, sort of, Stankoven could have ended up in the NHL that year, but Kamloops hosted the Memorial Cup. So Tom Gallardi owns both teams. So yeah. But yeah, you can think about that one.
Yeah.
But
It's about
you think about in the future for Memorial Cups too, all the WHL teams that are bidding for 2026, and who's the number one prospect for 2026? Gavin McKenna.
Yep.
Well,
And there's
the
5
WHL,
teams this time.
right? If I have to go to Lethbridge, I'm gonna be pissed. I want to.
That's what I said.
I want to go to Medicine Hat, and that's the only team that deserves it because if the CHL is smart, you have the chance to display a number one franchise talent on the biggest stage of all, right there.
Yep.
Do it. You couldn't do it with
Well,
Bedard because the Regina Pats didn't want to make that trade. And Michael Misa technically counts, I guess, in a sense, but he's not even eligible till next year. So but he got to play on the big stage this year. But still, you have the chance to do it in a draft year for somebody. And McKenna is already, just blowing apart the league. 90 points this year. My God.
When you got Lidstrom and Basha, the team's just insane, man.
The problem, the thing is too, I think they're gonna win it this year. I think they're gonna win it all this year, and then they're gonna just go and win it again.
Oh, dude, no one's stopping them in the Eastern Conference this year. Moose Jaw is losing some key pieces. Saskatoon's losing a couple key pieces to overage too. Like those guys will be selling off, right? So no one's stopping Medicine Hat this year.
No, and the one team that did have anybody was, Brandon had Nate Danielson, and then they went, see ya. So
yeah,
and then, but look at what the Lucas Dragicevic trade to Prince Albert. That was a weird one. I don't know why Tri-City would do that.
For Tyrell Goldsmith,
that was
Tri-City's a team that can compete. So not really. Jordan Gavin, it's his year. I don't understand that trade. But Prince Albert obviously thinks that they can compete, which makes no sense. But whatever.
The WHL never makes sense, man. Teams that should be out of it, they go for it. Teams that are slightly in it, they go, no, we actually want to take a step back and go younger. It's so weird how they decide to bail on a winning team or go on a mediocre team. It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Every junior league is different with their trades, to be honest. Like even in the OHL, like you saw that Carson Raycock trade, 10 picks.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you will ever see that in the WHL or the Q. Like looks like a franchise mode type trade right there.
It is. Yeah. Raycoff is good, but not that good.
Jeez. Did you get to cover this?
Right?
What's that?
What if he doesn't come back? There's a chance.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah. So that would well, he has got the chance. He's good. He's good.
He's only an offensive talent. He's no way a two-way player. Like he can't carry an offensive game yet, but if Seattle thinks he should get a shot,
well, they got to give Shane Wright a shot first, I think.
I was going to say, did you get to cover the Shane Wright trade from Kingston Frontenacs to the Windsor Spitfires?
No, but I did hear about it. I heard about it prior to it happened. Then that was a big one, though.
Oh, yeah.
What was another one?
First round exit.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, to get swept by Kitchener 4-0. Yeah, that really pissed me off. Something's awful.
So
get me started.
Well, it was a weird trade because he was rumored to be going to a couple different teams, and then it was last second. I don't know. It was just odd to me how it all played out and how he had kind of a choice of where he wanted to go, but it's man, you could have gone to Peterborough or Sarnia or London or just I don't know anywhere. What do you?
That was the first team that I saw that was rumored. London.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, of course, London's they want everybody, but rightfully so. Yeah. It's a prestigious program, and you know what I mean. They're my favorite OHL team. Not that I should say anything like that, but they're my favorite OHL team. So.
Yeah, and we actually saw it too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Like the rumor was Shane Wright for Oliver Bonk, and I'm like, please do not be fucking real.
Ooh.
We are not trading a franchise defenseman in Oliver Bonk. Please do not do that.
Yikes.
Thank God we did not. He had an unbelievable season last year.
Yeah.
Minus the World Junior bad bounce. He couldn't do anything.
He'll get flack for that forever, but he doesn't deserve it. It wasn't his fault entirely. I mean, not
we
really.
actually
It wasn't his
pretty
fault at all.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a podcast just after that, and we were pretty heated at people. Like, it went off his leg.
Yeah,
like, leave the kid alone. He jumped into a position where there was supposed to be a winger high slot, and it went off his leg. Like, what do you do? He's 6'5". He's lanky. He's not quite fully coordinated yet, and he's playing at a higher place than 90% of anyone that's watching that game ever has.
100%.
Anyways,
100%.
So
100%.
95%.
People that fault athletes for those types of things, it's exactly like what you say. They would never even hit that threshold. So just stay on the couch and keep complaining because you're never going to be that athlete.
Exactly.
And just shut the fuck up.
That's what we say too.
There you go.
Are you planning on making it to the 25 Cup in Rimouski this year, Colton?
Yes.
Awesome. We're hoping to try to make a little trip happen to ourselves.
Yeah.
Gameday Tarps podcast on location.
That'd be rad. You guys keep me in the loop. We'll try and make something.
We're trying to grow so then we can all go there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That'd be cool. I want to go, so we'll see. I mean, I should be able to go, but we'll see because it'll be cheaper than going to Saginaw. That's for fucking sure.
Right, go to the States.
Dude, it was like a 22-hour flight trip from Kamloops to there. I went from Kamloops to Vancouver, Vancouver to Toronto, Toronto to Minneapolis, Minneapolis to Atlanta, Atlanta to Detroit, Detroit to Saginaw.
What the fuck?
You might as well just flew to Toronto and then drove.
Walk. Yeah, or that, yeah.
Like just rent a car.
Yeah, I guess it's like 3 hours from Toronto. The other, Stephen Ellis, who works with us, he drove from Toronto. So, yeah, it took like 3 hours or whatever. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
No, it was not cool. Not cool at all. I did not enjoy that.
What was the flight back? Same pattern?
No, flight back was a little bit better. It was Saginaw to Detroit, Detroit to Minneapolis, Minneapolis to Seattle, Seattle to Vancouver, Vancouver home.
Holy cow, man!
Still,
dude, I flew to Florida one way,
dude. Die.
See, I got on yes, I did drive down to Bellingham. I got on a plane in Bellingham, and I flew straight to Florida, like destination airport, Tampa Bay, Florida, like 2019. Like, I don't know how they justify that you can get stuck on these overlaying flights and all this. It's crazy.
I don't know. I was not.
That's
happy,
another topic,
but whatever.
No, I bet not. 22. That's a whole day wasted just to,
Oh, that's what I mean, though. I left the Tuesday, and everything began the Wednesday. And I was like, Jesus, like, good thing I left early. Holy cow.
Yeah, but you're tired. You're exhausted.
Yeah, 3-hour time difference as well. So
yeah,
it was fun. But yeah, that was good though. But yeah, I'd like to get out to Rimouski. So yeah, if you guys get out there, that'd be rad.
That's the goal.
That'd be cool.
Hopefully, we can all jump out there.
That would be cool.
But yeah, man, honestly, I think that was fantastic episode having you on. We truly appreciated 45 minutes of honestly what just felt like broing out. It was awesome.
100%,
we're so happy to talk to you, and this is an open door. Anytime, let's do it. Let's get you on here all the time. We'll have you on as a frequent guest, and hopefully talk to you more about how Daily Faceoff is going and how it's growing for you. And we're just so excited for how your journey's turned out, man. It's awesome.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, you guys, anytime you guys want, just hit me up. I'll send you my phone number. You guys can text me whenever. I'll join whenever. You guys want to talk about breaking news or anything, just give me a text.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate that, man.
No problem. No problem.
Or any topics you want to talk about, shoot us a message. And...
Yeah.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely down. Yeah, good. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. All right, man. Thank you very much again. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
thanks, Colton. It was nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you, Colton.
Nice meeting you guys too. My pleasure being on here.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, to the Gameday Tarps podcast. That was episode 39. Special thanks to Colton Davies for hopping on to this one. Go follow him at Colton R. Davies on Twitter. And I hope you guys all have a good one.
Don't forget to follow us at Gameday Tarps Podcast on all social media platforms, and as well Daeden at Blue Nose Hockey on all social media platforms, and also give Wilbs a follow at Wilbs Puck on all social media platforms. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.